The United States flag. The Stars and Stripes have flown over some of the most pivotal moments in history, from the American Revolution to the Watergate scandal. But where did it come place? Did you know that the first official flag of the United States was not the one we recognize today? Welcome to my channel. And today, we're going to take a look at the history of the United States flag, including Betsy Ross and co. In 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a committee to design a national flag for the patriot cause. According to legend, they turned to Philadelphia upholsterer Betsy Ross, who had gained attention for her work on the Pennsylvania state flag. The committee told her they wanted a flag with 6 pointed stars to represent the state of New England. She showed them a flag with 5 pointed stars, but they rejected it because they didn't want to use the same design as the British flag. So she made another flag with 6 pointed stars, and the committee loved it. Ross was paid $20 for her design and went on to sew the first flag. In reality, however, the story of how the United States flag came to be is much more complicated than the myth would lead you to believe. While it's true that the committee did appoint an upholsterer named George Whipple to design a flag for them, his designs were rejected as too similar to those of the British East India Company. He then recommended 2 other upholsterers, Nicholas Creswell and Betsy Ross. Both designed flags with 6 pointed stars, but neither were selected by the committee. It was only after Ross suggested the use of 5 pointed stars that the committee approved of her design. The original order form, however, contained no record of this, leading many to believe that Ross may have actually been the first to suggest the 5-pointed star. But there's more. Historian Mark Leibson points out that even though the Continental Congress officially accepted the flag with its 13 alternating red and white stripes and 13 stars in a blue field, at the time, there were no written records detailing the exact layout of the stars. The flag that Ross presented to the committee was actually the first of its kind to feature stars in a specific pattern, but nobody knows if the committee ever adopted it as the official design. Leibson believes that the official version of the flag remained unknown until 1912, when historian Charles J. Steele published the first known description of it. Today, we all recognize the flag with its 50 stars and 13 stripes, but the American flag has gone through several iterations since its early days. In fact, the original flag of the United States looked quite different. The first official flag of the United States was the Grand Union flag. It flew over Fort McHenry during the battle that inspired the writing of the national anthem. But unlike the flag we know today, it featured alternating red and white stripes with a red canton. A canton refers to the upper left-hand corner of a flag, which is often used to display a smaller flag or emblem. In this case, the red canton represented Great Britain, showing that the colonists still recognized the king as their sovereign despite their growing desire for independence. After the Declaration of Independence was signed, the Grand Union flag was taken down and replaced with a new banner. This one was made up of 13 alternating red and white stripes representing the 13 colonies, with a blue field containing 13 white stars. Although the original source of the stars has been lost to history, historian Mark Leibson believes that they probably represented the 13 colonies. Some sources say the stars on the flag were meant to represent unity among the colonies, but Leibson doubts this. At the time, the idea of a unified nation was fairly radical. Most Americans were fiercely independent and wouldn't have accepted a flag that suggested otherwise. So he believes that the stars simply represented the colonies in the same way that the stripes did. This flag became known as the Continental Colors, or the United States flag. It flew alongside the Declaration of Independence during its presentation to the Continental Congress, and it continued to serve as the country's main banner throughout the Revolutionary War. The first major change to the flag came after the war, when the number of states grew from 13 to 14 with the admission of Vermont in 1791. The next year, the flag was updated with a 14th star. Then, in 1818, when Maine split off from Massachusetts, the number of stars increased again. The admission of new states led to a steady stream of changes to the flag. By 1861, the United States boasted 34 different states and 34 stars. But rather than add more stars to the flag, the government decided to make some changes. They kept the blue field the same size, arranging the stars in offsetting rows with 7 stars across the top and 6 down the bottom. These changes allowed the flag to continue displaying the same number of stars even after new states joined the Union. Today, the United States flag remains the same, with 50 stars arranged in 9 offsetting rows of 5 and 6. The flag hasn't always been just about adding new states, though. From 1881 to 1912, the U.S. Navy also flew an official Jack flag. Jack flags are small banners used by ships to represent their country. When they were at sea, the Navy's Jack flag featured a blue field with 13 white stars arranged in a circle. The flag was retired in 1912 after a scandal involving the crew of the USS. The flagship displayed the Navy's Jack flag along with the U.S. flag when they arrived in Chile for a port visit. But it soon became apparent that some sailors weren't familiar with naval customs. When the ship pulled anchor, the crew lowered both the U.S. flag and the Jack flag at the same time, causing the Chilean Navy to protest the perceived insult. Captain Robert W. Ivins denied that any disrespect was intended, but admitted that his men weren't trained properly in flag etiquette. After the incident, the Navy quietly retired the Jack flag. Aside from the addition of new stars for new states, the American flag has only been changed twice in its history. The first major redesign took place in 1912 when President William Howard Taft unveiled a new flag for the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Maine. This event played a key role in the outbreak of the Spanish-American War and was seen as a turning point in America's rise as a world power. The flag reflected this change in status with larger stars set against a dark blue field. This was seen as a symbol of strength and the shift away from the less prominent role that the United States had played in world affairs. Prior to this, the stars had been laid out in a haphazard manner, but now they were arranged in precise geometric patterns. This was part of a broader trend in American life towards efficiency and standardization, reflecting the influence of progressive-era reforms. The new flag design was widely popular and continued to be used until 1959, when a new president took office. The last official change to the American flag occurred under President Dwight D. Eisenhower. As was customary, the new president chose to unveil a new flag design to coincide with his inauguration. Eisenhower's new flag featured larger stars against a lighter shade of blue. Although the change seemed minor, it generated significant controversy. Critics argued that the new flag design failed to live up to the standards set by previous presidents. Illustrator and political cartoonist Art Young described it as sloppy and lacking the dignity of previous flags. He wasn't alone. A majority of Americans disliked the new flag, which led Eisenhower to reverse his decision shortly after he took office. Instead, he unveiled a second flag featuring the same design as Eisenhower's predecessor, Harry Truman. Although the new president liked the older design, he wasn't a fan of the faded colors, so the flag was recreated with brighter hues. This flag continues to serve as the official banner of the United States today. It's safe to say that the American flag will continue to change over the years as new states join the Union. But one thing remains constant: the flag's ability to serve as a powerful symbol of patriotism and freedom. Thank you for watching. Do you have a favorite president or moment in American history that the flag represents for you? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Until next time.